How's everybody doing today? So, 2 days ago, I talked about twin flames and a little bit about the differences between the twin flame and the soulmates. So, in today's video, I'm going to talk about soulmates, what to what you can see when you find one, and explain how you know or may how you may not know or whatever. But anyways, soulmates, they have a deep rooted connection that's pretty undeniable. When you meet your soulmate, energetically, you're instantly attracted to them. It's very similar to the twin flame, but the soulmate relationship is more like you know that you immediately found your best friend in life. Basically, is how you may feel when you find the soulmate, right? In the twin flame, it's more like you found yourself because you're a mirror reflection of a twin flame. You found you were searching for the rest of your soul and you found it. That's why people get confused between the twin flame and meeting their soulmate, because on the surface level, it appears that you found your soulmate when you actually found your twin flame, when you feel that energy of, oh, another, you found the missing piece of yourself. Yeah, you were missing your soul, you're part of your soul, so you found your soul. That's why you felt like that. But the soulmate, like I was saying, the connection is more like an infinite friendship. And that's how you really can tell the difference in energy. Like, time will tell. So if you don't know immediately the first day, it's like, there's no harm, no foul, right? Like you want to wait it out and test your theories, right? So, if days or months go by, and you'll start feeling the differences in energy. It's let's say if it is your twin flame, they'll start mirroring like all your actions and like what your interests are and stuff. So you'll have the same interest, and your personality and your emotional reaction to things will be very similar. Whereas the soulmate might have an entirely different personality and react emotionally different than you do, and you can tell the difference. Being around it for months on end, even your morals and ethics could be vastly different. That's why when people say, "Oh, I want somebody that's morally and ethically the same as me," generally that means you're searching for your twin flame and not your soulmate, because the personality differences between the soulmates and their morals and ethics are different compared to the twin flames. So you got soul partnerships, right? You have soul partnerships, you have soul contracts, and some of this is related to soulmates. But some of these soul partnerships and soul contracts could be mistaken for a twin flame or a soulmate. But a soulmate has a broader, I think they very much has a broader category. Like if you had a past life soul contract with somebody, you were like two souls that made a contract to stay together in a certain amount of generations, life and death cycles multiple times. You're soul contracting your a soulmate, so to speak. Of course, we don't know exactly how this works. Unless you remember your past lives, like Matthias de Stefano does. He understands the difference between like the soul contracts and um, soul agreements and stuff like that. I'm not an expert on it, so I'm not going to speak for him. So if you want to watch his videos and have him explain to you what that is, by all means. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on that specific thing. But the soulmates generally, are great friendships, and you want to be around each other. Um, you feel alone when you're not around them. I don't necessarily feel that's the same way the twin flames is. Like you don't have to be around them, and you're like completely fine, because your soul is trying to experience two different life forms in the twin flame, because it's one soul split in two. So you're trying to have a different experience. So being around them is not necessary. But when you're around your best friend or your soulmate, you kind of feel like you're lost when you're not around them, or you miss them like tremendously, and you unconditionally love them. In the twin flames, you don't. There's not much unconditional love, I don't believe. And I'll explain that. And whenever I do a podcast, I'll go into how I met my twin flame and how it didn't work out in a relationship. Um, but in the soulmate, it's like you always want to like make plans to do something with them again, or even move in together and stuff like that, because you're that comfortable being around them and you don't really fight very much. Whereas the twin flames, you fight. And the soulmates, you don't really fight that much because you kind of agree on things and you don't really get that mad at each other to where it gets volatile. And if you do, it's very quick and it's over, and then you say you're sorry, or forgive me. You let go of the guilt really quickly, and the twin flame is definitely one side of where I'm kind of doing a comparison video again. It seems like when I'm talking, but the twin flame you learn from them spiritually, but in the soulmates, you might not necessarily grow so much in your spirituality, but what you will grow in is your vibration will become higher because you're in alignment with each other, and you're more happy in your relationship. You may not necessarily grow spiritually like with the wisdom and the knowledge, because you really don't have the drive. Remember I was talking about someone that's a multimillionaire doesn't really need to have that much spirituality because they get anything they want through money energy. It's not really required, right? Like if you're not starving to death and you can pay for all your meals and you're going on all these vacations and you're buying this and that, you're kind of like in a state of happiness, and you don't have to go to work, and so you can like go to the gym more often. You can buy the supplements that you want. So someone that's rich and then kind of knows what they're doing doesn't necessarily need a spiritual awakening because they're living a good life. So it's not like there's a desire for it. It's the same thing with a soulmate, I believe. If you're with your soulmate, you're not desiring to gain like more spirituality unless it's just something that interests you. And I'm sure you do want to gain it at some level, but I'm just saying when you're with your twin flame, it's forced, because if you don't change, shit goes down, starts going downhill, and that snowball builds up really quickly. So if you don't make the change when you're with the twin flame to get more spiritual, because you're supposed to learn a lesson from that. But the soulmate, I'm sure there's lessons to be learned there, but they're not as harsh, right? It's not like the twin flame is more like the school of hard knocks, where the soulmate is just like more like a heavenly, like being in heaven, like a heavenly experience. So there's not much hardship really, right? The unconditional love. And here's another thing. This is why people don't find, I would say these are some of the reasons why people don't find their soulmate, because our society has trained us not to. And here I'll give you some examples. Let's say, and I'm going to talk about genders because you need to know why certain things happen the way they do in the society, and it's gender related. So a woman or a girl is trained to grow up and find somebody that has a very stable income. So, you need to look for a doctor. You need to look for a rich guy that's in, computer technologies and stuff like that. So the girls are aiming for somebody rich instead of aiming for their soulmate, which that man may not be rich. So instead of, they're passing up potential candidates of these guys who might be their soulmate because they're actually blocking and like not even accepting them for dating because they're not making a certain amount of money. So in actuality, you're skipping potential candidates for your soulmate because you were trained to go after a certain type of thing, and so you limited your source, really, and your soulmate might not be currently financially abundant, so you passed them up, and you'll never you might meet them later down the road or whatever when you make some other different choices and stuff like that, but you passed them up, right? Because you were told that the guy has to be a certain way in order for you to to accept them for dating and getting into a relationship. Now for men, it's a little bit different. It's not financial. Men base more of their soulmate. Men date based on looks. Like a way a woman looks is definitely a factor in how a man would want to date her. So if she looks a certain way, but here's the thing, like let's say a man starts dating like this good-looking woman, right? And she's kind of treating him like crap. Well, you already know that's not your soulmate, but you continue to stay with her because she looks a certain way that you like. Instead of trying to like move on and try to find your soulmate, you're staying with this woman because she looks like a 10, right? You don't know. Like your next soulmate could be a 10, but you stayed with this woman because you don't want to lose a woman that looks that good. So between the difference between the men and the women are going after the guy with this financially stable, heavily financially stable, and is career minded and stuff. And the guy's going after the looks, but once he gets the girl with the looks, he won't leave her even if she's treating him a certain way. That's why the guy might not be finding a soulmate because he stayed with that girl that looks that good instead of just moving on and trying to find a soulmate. So both genders have problems when it comes to searching for a soulmate, but you are blocking your potential to find your soulmate by these society misconceptions of how you're supposed to meet somebody. Everybody knows deep down that I want a person I have a deep connection with and I have unconditional love. So why are you putting those limiting factors on there? If that's the case, right? So I just want you to be, kind of be aware of that. And that's all I wanted to say. If I kept going on, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, and I don't want you guys like just hear me ramble on and on. I try not to go long on videos for that reason, so you're not bored just hearing me reiterating the same information over and over again. So that's it for now. As always, I greatly appreciate you guys watching my videos, and have a nice day.